This is
Tinnitus. Alright, so if you haven't watched our previous tinnitus video, you might be wondering to yourself, what is tinnitus? I'm sure you've experienced a short-lived ringing in your ear, whether that be from sleeping in your quiet room that night, attending a really loud concert, or even if you've had an ear infection. Well, that ringing that you're hearing is tinnitus. And if you're anything like me, you probably didn't know that there was a name for it. But beyond discovering that this condition actually has a name, the most mind-blowing thing was realizing just how many people have tinnitus that doesn't go away. 1 in 8 people has this constant ringing in their ears that ranges from a variety of frequencies that doesn't go away. So if about 12% of people have this constant tinnitus in their ears, there must be a ton of research done and they must have a cure, right? Well, let me just give you a brief overview of some experiences and facts about tinnitus. Number 1, in the United States, over 50 million Americans experience some form of tinnitus. Number 2, people with tinnitus typically experience worse problems with it when they're stressed. Number 3, there are hearing aids that help mitigate the impact of tinnitus on individuals. It works on some individuals, but not for all. Number 4, tinnitus has a variety of causes, and for some people, we don't even know where it came from. So with this basic overview of tinnitus, I really hate to break it to you, but there isn't really a cure for tinnitus. People have been learning to live with it. Alright, so what connection do I have with tinnitus? Well, let me tell you just that. A few months ago, I suffered from a pretty bad ear infection. And one of the side effects was a constant ringing in my ear. And only after doing research did I realize that this ringing was tinnitus. I had trouble focusing, sleeping, and working. Couldn't shut off the ringing in my ear. There was no escape from it. Wherever I went, it followed. And all I could think about was this constant ringing in my ear. And the more stressed and the more worried I got about it, the louder the ringing got. But by far, the most difficult part for me was that no one understood the pain that I was enduring when I told my friends, family, and even doctors about my tinnitus. Only after doctor appointment and doctor appointment and doctor appointment and constantly explaining what I was going through to the doctors was I able to receive an ear irrigation treatment that would thankfully terminate my tinnitus. I'm blessed that my tinnitus was only temporary, but there are so many people who have constant tinnitus that doesn't go away. The same night that my tinnitus ended was the same night that British Tinnitus Association reached out to me to help them raise funds and spread awareness for tinnitus. With the impeccable timing and everything that I had gone through, I knew that I had to advocate for this. I was initially planning on doing this running fundraiser challenge all on my own, but since there was running involved, I knew I had to ask Erica, and she was more than happy to help out. So who exactly is BTA? BTA is one of the largest charities supporting global tinnitus research. And by partnering up with them, we've had the chance to ask them about their stories with tinnitus and their experience with working with BTA. Jessica is a fundraising officer at BTA. And here's just a little bit about her.
I've been working in the fundraising team at the British Tinnitus Association for just over 2 years, and it's been such a pleasure to work with a variety of people that are so motivated to raise awareness of tinnitus and to raise funds to support people living with tinnitus now and to research to find a cure. From speaking with fundraisers and people on our helpline and web chat, I've been able to understand more about their experiences with tinnitus to help share their stories and raise awareness and funds.
Now that you've heard Jessica's story, let's hear from Lucy. She works for the tinnitus support team and she just joined BTA after volunteering with them over the summer.
My journey at the BTA started when I joined as a volunteer, and it was to give something back and get more involved with charities in my community. One of my roles at the BTA is to facilitate in a support group. It's really valuable knowledge for me to hear people's stories firsthand about how they've overcome their struggles, about how they've been able to habituate, and them sharing tips and advice to other sufferers.
After hearing their stories and deciding to partner up with BTA, we had to decide our running goal for our challenge. So we decided to run 100K each over the course of a month. Some days were super challenging.
Been a long day, but I am still running, and I'm gonna do this for the BTA fundraiser. Look, I'm on the treadmill.
But some days, we remembered exactly why we were running.
Towards the end, when I was running, I started to get flashbacks from when I was suffering from tinnitus. It just reminds me again why we're doing this fundraiser, why we're running, and why we're trying to spread awareness for tinnitus.
And through the course of running and sharing our challenge on social media, we did not expect to reach as many people as we did. We received so many messages of people saying that they didn't know what tinnitus was or how much of an impact that it can have on someone's life. We also received messages of people who have this constant tinnitus and who were willing to share their stories with us. Speaking of those people, we've had the opportunity to interview Nardo, who we met on social media, who has been learning to cope with tinnitus. And here is his story.
October 6th, it was around 8 p.m. I was doing some work on one computer. I was watching YouTube videos on another computer, and I just all of a sudden started hearing a ring in my right ear, and I thought, oh, it'll go away like in an hour. Never went away. I don't know what it actually came from. I knew I had experienced before. I didn't know the name of it. I didn't know that it could be chronic. I didn't know that there's no treatment to make the severity of it go away. There's only coping mechanisms. And I started watching other YouTubers, especially like Ben Thompson. He has really informative information, and he's a very calm person, which is calming when you're freaking out about ringing in your ear and you see this calm guy talking about what it is and why you have it. And so I would say YouTube was a source of information. The British Tinnitus Association did a really good job about putting information, and Tinnitus Hub, Marku and Hazel, they create videos that, oh my God, they give you hope because they go and research the researchers, and you find out, hey, even though there isn't a cure right now, that's not to say that tomorrow there won't be, or tomorrow there won't be a treatment down the road. Those were my sources of education. And then also, lastly, just going through all the research literature of like Susan Short to gain some hope, because she's coming out with treatments. Coping, I'm doing the same things that I do when I get natural stress. I'm running, biking a lot, so sometimes I'll run 5 miles, and then other times I'll go and bike 25 miles. I actually moved closer to family because I couldn't deal with this being alone in a new city. I just needed my family, so I moved back down to San Diego. I constantly call my brother and sister, just because sport. The dogs too, like seeing dogs is fun, and then being in San Diego, the ocean's nearby. Sometimes I'll literally just go to the beach and sit there for like 3 hours, starting a fire, being next to the ocean, and that's probably the most comfortable I can get. Like that, to that point, I don't care. Like I don't hear it, I don't care about it, and I actually am able to fully relax with just the noises that are around me. And also Ben Thompson, because I'm in California, he's in California, he's licensed audiologist in California. I was able to get hearing aids, and they're really small, right? And I have them in both ears, and right now I'm listening to crickets. And I don't fully mask the tinnitus. Sometimes I do because it gets too much, but most of the time I don't, and I do notice the benefit that comes from it. And yeah, he has meditation exercises, and those really do help to obviously not reduce the volume, but reduce the anxiety that you feel from it. If I don't have my hearing aids for a couple of days, my anxiety will get to the point where I want to cry down and break down. And with my hearing aids, I would say that's not really an issue. It still bothers. I know that wearing them, and then I take them out full of hours, and I notice the difference on how that I deal with it and how I perceive it. It's more bearable afterwards. So I would say that, yeah, hearing aids are definitely useful. I would like to say thank you, Erica and Crystal, for reaching out to the BTA fundraiser with them, running the miles that you did, bringing awareness and whatnot, because I know for you guys it went away, right? And you don't have to live with this. You're off somewhere right now, probably in a silent room, enjoying your day, enjoying your night. And meanwhile, I'm gonna leave that door open at night because I don't wanna be in a silent room. And I have to think about this at worst for the rest of my life. At best, maybe a treatment comes out and it isn't such a burden on my life, right? So I'd like to say thank you guys. I'd like to say thanks Ben Thompson. Thank you to the YouTubers, or even thanks to Tinnitus Hub for the work they do. Even thanks to BTA for putting out the YouTube videos that they do and having the support line. And yeah, thanks to all the people online that I've reached out to who have tinnitus and provided support. They go out of their way to tell me their story and how they deal with it and how they're doing. So yeah, that's all I really gotta say. Okay, later guys.
We're so thankful to have been able to hear his story and so many more. There's still a lot to learn about tinnitus, and more research and awareness has to be done. But with finishing this 100K running fundraiser challenge, by spreading awareness and raising $650 in just a month for tinnitus research, we know that we are just one step closer to
a world where no one suffers from tinnitus.
A world where no one suffers from tinnitus.
A world where no one suffers from tinnitus.